Excuse me. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Round Table. This podcast and others in the Jazzy Groove Rainy Day podcast family, excuse me, are brought to you by the Power of Five. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and notify. And share. Those actions will help engage us even more to get more people and hopefully make your life a little bit better for listening and or watching it. But now, on with the podcast. Today's topic is going to deal with epiphanies. And yes, I've had an epiphany, or an epiphany, however you say it. I don't know. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look up the word epiphany. Okay. And we're going to look up what it means. Now this is from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. And we're going to make this a little bit bigger. I think. A usually sudden manifestation or perception of the essential nature or meaning of something. That's the first definition. An intuitive grasp of reality through something such as an event, usually simple and striking. That's two. Now, my epiphany, I will say it right one of these days, pardon me for this, people, I was watching a couple of them, and the same thing kept running through my head. First thing I was watching Fresh and Fit, and then I was watching Just Pearly Things, the pregame. And I was listening to the women on their podcasts and all the deluded glory, arguing with people, especially in the realm of Fresh and Fit. Shout out to Myron and Walter, who are guys. They're guys. They're males. They're men. They're multi-millionaires. They know what they're talking about. And Pearl, you got Pearl, someone who has interviewed hundreds of men for an upcoming special that she's going to have on divorce. She's done over 100 shows dealing with women and all the issues and things like that. And between the three of them, they pretty much heard it all. And you still have women who are going to be contrary. One show that I remember that I watched a day or so ago was Whatever. Shout out to the Whatever podcast and Brian. And he was dealing with this girl, Stephanie. Now, Stephanie, if the name sounds familiar, is because she was on Fresh and Fit earlier. She is the lawyer turned OnlyFans model. Now, she says at the beginning of the Fresh and Fit podcast that she was a lawyer and she quit being a lawyer to do OnlyFans. And then spends the rest of the show talking about how she's a lawyer. If you quit being a lawyer, you're no longer a lawyer. I mean, if I get it wrong, please, someone in the chat tell me. Someone in the comments, please tell me. If I got it wrong, I got it wrong. There's no shame in that. I don't care. But as far as I know, once you are no longer a part of a profession, you can't market yourself as a current professional. When men quit sports, they're ex-stars, they're ex-players. They're not players. And I just don't get it. Okay, I got it. Let's get to it. And here we go.
I think that there would definitely be a conversation about it. We're talking about, again, some phrases like we're going to go to war and now the draft. I think clearly we haven't used the draft, even though we've had wars in the last 50 years, because there have been people that have volunteered to go. We didn't use it in the Iraq War. We didn't use it in Afghanistan. We haven't used it. And I think if there was another war, I don't think we would use it because I think people know there'd be an uproar about it.
Okay. We'll get back to it, but this woman clearly has no clue as to what she's talking about. We haven't used the draft in the last 50 years. It's because there hasn't been a war that is going to take us beyond the capabilities and manpower we currently possess in our military. That's why we haven't used it. The last war that was actually conscripted or people were drafted in was Vietnam. And we saw how well that went. In the beginning, oh yes, yeah, God bless America, blah, 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 blah. But the longer it went, the more people got tired of it. And the dictator, I forget his name, but he once said that for every 500 of our men you kill, we'll kill one of yours and you'll get tired of the war. And that's exactly what happened. But this woman, this Stephanie, is talking out the side of her neck. Which brings me to one of our more prevalent sayings. And that is, privilege is invisible to those who wield it. And that goes across the board, both sides, up, down, left, right, conservative, liberal, whatever. It applies to everybody in equal measure. Now, it's easy for her to dismiss it. She's not getting called. I had to, just because, and I'm glad I did, because when I was in school and I went for my Stafford grant, I got it because I was enlisted. Not enlisted. I was registered for the draft. That's the only reason why I got it. I don't sign up for the draft. I don't get that loan. I don't get that grant. But yet she's talking about she doesn't think that there'll be a war, this, that, and the other thing. You better hope and pray there isn't. Because right now there's a lot of saber rattling going on There's a lot of flexing going on. Ay, ay, ay. Let's get back to it.
2023. And I would be on the front line saying we should abolish it, not saying men should be the only ones who have to go.
Right, it hasn't been used in a long time, but that still does nothing to diminish the fact that men are still subject to military conscription.
That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be the case, but I'm also saying the reason it's not a main issue is because any man who's going to bed or waking up like, oh my god, I'm in the draft, you should get a job and work, like, focus on things that are actually happening.
Wrong. 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 And did I say wrong? Wrong. It's one of those things where you don't think about it until it actually comes up. And that is the uncomfortable truth of that situation and that scenario. Most guys don't think about it because most guys don't have to worry about it. And there's problems with that. And the main problem with that is that people aren't signing up the way they used to. They're just not. There are more and more people who, for whatever reason they have, it could be religious, it could be ethical, it could just be they don't want to. But for whatever reason, there are more and more young men who simply opt out of the draft. And that's going to be fine right up to the point where there is a draft and they are needed. Watch how fast the jails fill up. Watch how fast they fill up. This woman, I don't know. And she's so smug in her righteousness, which will put you off right from jump. She is so right. There could never be another viewpoint other than hers. She's a legend in her own mind. Let's listen to a little bit more of her, and then I'll get into the actual show.
That's rather dismissive of men's concerns when it comes to their basically being forced to die in military conflict. You might think that that's fanciful, that you might think there's not a strong likelihood that, well, certainly in the U.S. perhaps not. Take, for example, Ukraine, which is a starting to become a pretty industrialized country. Still to this day, men between the ages of, I believe, 18 to 60, maybe even 65, they're unable to leave the country.
Yeah, okay.
No limit. There's no such limit on movement.
Okay, but if you want to go globally on tit for tat for women, a lot of places women still can't go to schools, women still can't even drive in some places. So if we're going to go globally,
We can go globally.
yeah, so if we're going to go globally, I think there are far more examples of women still being oppressed, especially, I mean, like I told you, my parents are from Iran.
I can't listen to her. Because she's about to go into how people from Iran, and you saw that happen. That was, if our memory serves me correctly, that was an issue completely, entirely of their own making. The Shah was a democratically elected official in Iran. He didn't go the way America wanted him to, so they deposed him and helped install the Ayatollah, who was fundamentally a radical Muslim. He wanted to do things the old way. And the old way was women should be seen and not heard. Women can't drive. Women have to be covered from head to toe. And they never tell you why. I mean, there's a good argument as to why that could be considered oppressive. But you got to realize another thing. If all you know is your day-to-day life, how can you be oppressed? It's just another day. Now you can go someplace else, see how they do things, and then come back and say, no, I'd rather do it this way. That's fine. Good luck with that, but that's fine. And I'm not saying, before we even get into it any deeper, I'm not saying that we should pine for that sort of lifestyle. I'm not saying we should keep women barefoot and pregnant. I'm not saying that at all. I'm a strong proponent of, if it feels good, do it. The only thing I'll say as a plus to that is just be mindful of the consequences that can and will be effected against you. I heard a stat the other day. Shout out to Pearl Davis and Just Pearly Things. I heard a stat from her saying that there are more OnlyFans models than kindergarten teachers. Let that sink in for a minute. There are more OnlyFans models than kindergarten teachers in the United States. And on top of that, let's look at the lie that is perpetrated amongst the OnlyFans crowd. It's easy money. You can make a ton of it. You can live the lifestyle that you want. Can't nobody tell you what to do. You don't need no man, and everything will be fine. What they don't tell you, it's the same thing they don't tell you on anything else that you might want to pursue. And that simply is, your chances of making a whole bunch of money on it is slim to none. Most OnlyFans creators are lucky they make clear $300 to $400 a month. And there are still more OnlyFans creators than there are teachers. How? And that's because, and again, I'm going to, in a future episode, or in the comment section below, either way, I don't know, but I'm going to look up and thank people who I've quoted on before. And there was a man that once said that America is rife with temporarily embarrassed millionaires. Everybody's got that millionaire mindset. Champagne dreams on a beer budget. Champagne dreams on a beer budget. Hold my beer. Temporarily embarrassed millionaires. Not even saying that they work, because they're not. They never have been. And there's a good chance they never will be. But they're temporarily embarrassed. Somebody make it make sense. And that's when it hit. Now I'm going to give you a couple of fast, hard, embarrassing, and uncomfortable truths. that are going to pretty much sum up the state of play today in the West in general and in the U.S. in particular. First one, and we discussed this on a previous podcast of Uncomfortable Truth. Shout out to you guys. We ain't going back. There is no going back. It's easy to say women should do this, women should do that, and men should do this, and men should do that. The truth of it is, it's not going to happen. Unless you get a cataclysmic event that wipes out most of the populace, and what's left realizes this is the best way to do it, and they do it. It's too late for us. It's too late. We're not going backwards. Time marches forward. Progress is the act of moving forward. What worked in the 60s and the 70s and even in the 80s won't work in the 90s, the aughts, the teens, and the 20s. It won't. It just won't work. That cat's out the bag and that ship has sailed. You've given women a taste of power. And now that they had that taste, they're loath to give it up. It's going to take a cataclysmic event to dislodge it from them. And men, we're not exempt from it because we were a victim of our own success. Men are resilient creatures. And in the dating market, men have learned to adapt to a woman's needs and wants and fit in that way. And there was the birth of the simp. A guy that's going to do too much to win the affections of a woman who pretty much doesn't know he exists. And everybody's had one. And everybody's been one at one time. When you fall in love, you're simping. There's no other way around it. When you fall in love, you're simping. Because when you're in love, like the song by Bobby Caldwell, what you won't do, you do for love. You'll do anything. You go anywhere. You'll say anything. All is fair in love and war. If you think the end result is going to get you what you want, you won't hesitate to do it. I'll say that again. If you feel the end result will get you what you want, you won't hesitate to do it. Simple. And because we all have that mindset, because we don't feel that there's nothing that we won't do, and that's an extreme example. For most people, if what you're being asked to do is valid and legal, it's on the table. But then there are extremes where nothing's off the table. I'll do what I have to get the outcome that I want. So either get on board or get out of the way. And that can be sad And that can be said because, A, you're going to get called a simp. You're going to get called a beta. And most of it comes from being a nice guy. They say nice guys finish last. And I will say in dating that is so. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Women don't like nice guys. At least not in the beginning. When they have when they're at their peak, when they have the most agency, their most desire, they don't want monogamy. They want their hot girl summer. And I say, okay. All right. You do you. What nobody tells them, and they don't find out until it's way past too late, when they age out of the dating market and they're still single, and 9 times out of 10, they are still single, what will happen is that they realize, I'm not getting the results that I want anymore. Oh, look at him. I'll settle for him. He'll give me what I want. Now that's not right. That's not kind. That's not fair. That's not just. Many of the things that we'll talk about tonight aren't fair, kind, right, or just. They're the hand we were dealt. And we have to play them. If you're looking for a cheat code, they don't exist. Not really. I mean, yeah, you can, as a man, level up on everything if you're not aesthetically pleasing. And you will probably wind up with a woman. But then you start to ask yourself, is she with me for me or what I can do for her? And you lost. I'll say that again. Is she in it for me or is she in it for what I can provide her? The cars, the clothes, the bling, the cash, the lifestyle. That's what she's in it for. Now, she may eventually fall in love with you, but that's not why she got there. Gold Digger 101. And there's a difference between a potential woman and a gold digger. A gold digger leads with that. Oh, that's nice. Now you have a nice car. I like your chain. Your clothes is hype. I like your house. Want to come talk to me? That's a gold digger. If you meet a woman who checks all your boxes, and traditionally worries about the future, will you be able to provide for me? What can you do to ensure that myself and any potential offspring that I may bring will be taken care of? That's not a gold digger. And a lot of guys will egg that on because they'll lead with their wallets. And those are the guys who aren't very aesthetically looking, but they got everything else going on. And we said before who they are. I'm not going to say it again. Mainly because I said it once. And although I don't say these things out of spite or malice or anything like that, they probably will be taken as such. And I'm just tired. It is what it is. But we're not going back. We're not regressing to yesteryear. Guys will be simps because we're a product of our own success and a victim of our own success. Women aren't as dumb as you may think they are, or as they may pretend to be. She heard you. She understood you. She chose to ignore it. Simple. Where you going? I'm going out with my friends tonight. Honey, I don't think you should go. Because their activities are things that I don't want you involved in. So maybe you should stay home tonight. No. She heard you. I don't think you should go out tonight. Your friends will engage in activities that I don't think are in your best interest, i.e., hoe tendencies. And I don't think you should go. A reasonable request. Reasonable. He asked you. He didn't tell you. He asked you not to go. And he gave you his reasons. But she's got it in her head that she has to go. Otherwise, she'll miss out on something. So she's going to go. No. Okay. Then she's wondering why, when she comes back home, she can't get in the house. And all her stuff sitting out on the front porch. Consequences. And the big epiphany that I've had is this is the hand that we're dealt. You don't have to like it. I don't. You don't actually have to accept it. But you have to acknowledge it. This is what it is. There are people who are going to be better than you, stronger than you, faster than you, smarter than you, more together than you. That's why I feel I'm in the middle. That's what I think. I'm better than some, but then I'm not as good as others. I'm average. And I don't have a problem in saying that. I'm going to ride this ride for all it's worth, for as long as I can. If I get better, I get better. That's the ultimate goal, to get better. But I'm content with where I am now. That's not to say I don't want to grow. Again, I want to be the best version of myself I could be. But at the same time, if this is as good as it gets, I have no complaints. And it may sound like an oxymoron, and to a certain degree, I could agree with that. Because how can I be happy with what I am, yet want more? But then think about it. You can want more. I want bigger, I want better, I want more. I want a better life for myself. I want a better life for my wife. I want a better life for my children. I want them to have things that I couldn't have. I want them to go places I couldn't go. I want them to be people that I couldn't be. I want what's best for them. So yes, I want more. But at the same time, and two things can be true at the same time. At the same time, I can say, I'm content with my life. If the opportunity presents itself, oh yeah, I'm going. But I'm not looking for it. This channel that I frequent is a product of my love, respect, and admiration of my fellow man. This channel is the direct result of my respect, admiration, and affection for my fellow woman. I don't say these things to poke fun at people. I don't say these things for a laugh. I don't say these things to get my viral 15 minutes of fame, this, that, and the other thing. I don't say it for that. I say these things because I want to see people do better. I want people to become the best versions of themselves possible. And I'm tired of being Mr. Nice Guy. I'm tired of telling people things and they're like, yeah, and then doing what they want anyway. That's why I don't give advice on this show or any of my podcasts. I don't give advice. I simply provide another point of view. You look at it this way, here's another way to look at it. And I'll let you do what you want with it. It's that simple. Excuse me. People are going to do what people are going to do. I said that before. I'll say that again and again until I can't say it anymore. People are going to do what people are going to do. And I say go for it. If it makes you happy and no one else is going to get hurt by it, go for it. Now, I will also say that people in general, because guys are guilty of this as well, but women in particular, want to have their cake and eat it too. They want all the perks of the masculine experience, but none of the accountability of it. They want to indulge in the rich spoils of riches, but they don't want to get their hands dirty. Whatever. If you can do that, do that. And most women can do that. Hence the whole tendencies of their 20s. They're getting all this attention. And they're running with it. Which is why I've always been of the mind of, okay, you look good. What else is going on? There was a girl, and I've told this story before, but there was a girl that I knew when I lived in New Jersey, and she was pretty. She was very pretty. And we'd hang out in this, that, and the third, and she'd always ask me, do I look good? Do you think I'm pretty? And I always said, you're all right. Now, I did this, and I said this because it's something I've always believed in. Never let them see you sweat. Now, inside, I'm like, oh my God, this girl's freaking awesome. Oh, what I wouldn't do to get with her. But I didn't want her to see that. Now, who knows? If I said something, things may have turned out differently. They may not have. But I'll never know. I could have married her. But it is what it is. There are so many people in my life that have hinted, am I pretty? Do you think I'm pretty? I can't get anybody. What's wrong with me? And I've always been like, you're all right. Or, you're going to make somebody very happy. And left it at that. Because as I've gotten older, I began to put together pieces that I had seen in snippets that made a bigger picture. And the bigger picture was that women ain't for no good. Now, are all women, and again, I can't believe I have to say this, but not everybody fits what I'm about to say. And I don't understand why this has to be said. If this doesn't apply to you, ignore it. Ignore it. The people that tend to get butthurt over this are the people it actually affects. And to those I say, oh well, get over it. It is what it is. If you don't want a specific outcome, why not forego the decisions that made it come about? You really want to know how to stop hoe tendencies? Don't be a hoe. Now I know, and again, I don't believe I have to say this, but I know that there are people out there who are going to shoot their shot. They're going to say what they want. That's on them. I can't deal with them. They're going to say what they want. They're going to do what they want. It is what it is. I have nothing to say to them, because anything that I can say or would say will fall on deaf ears. So I don't bother. But the likelihood of you having these less than stellar outcomes goes down significantly. Don't wear the booty cutters. Don't wear the microskirts. Don't wear the plunging V-lines. You can wear makeup, but do it tastefully. That means no cumbrellas, no tarantula eyelashes. No Botox. No breast augmentations. No butt augmentations. Because I'm going to tell you something. Every woman on the planet who is heterosexual can find a man. Because every man wants to smash. Like I said once before, or twice before, or how many ever times I've said it. Shout out to MC Search in third base. He's on an island. 300-pound white girl. No one to see this. Boom, I dropped my fluid like a chemist. Keywords there's no one to see this. So he's going to do it. He's going to do it because he was horny and she was there. Every female that's heterosexual, and actually any female on the planet can get a guy if she so desires. Any female. Watch who you walk with. Be mindful of your friends. Remember, true friends you can count on one hand and have fingers left over. Leave your whole friends alone. Life is not a competition. Focus on you. Don't worry about what she's doing. Don't worry about what she's doing. Don't worry about what they're doing. Concentrate on yourself. And guys, same thing. Concentrate on yourself. Leave the girls alone. Focus on making yourself the best version of yourself you can be, and a byproduct of that is that you'll get women. It's like I said before, one of the best ways to improve confidence that you'll ever have is the 2-week rule. You start in the morning. First thing you do after you get up. And the last thing you do before you go to bed is you walk over to the mirror, you look in the mirror, and you utter 3 words. I like you. And then you go about your day, or you go to sleep. That's all you do. Do that for a week. On the second week, you change one word. Instead of I like you, you say I love you. You say it twice a day. Once in the morning when you get up, once in the evening before you go to bed. By the end of the second week, you'll feel so much better about yourself. You have a sunnier outlook on life. People will begin to notice a pep in your step. Your confidence grows. And why is that? That is simply because everybody needs that sort of affirmation. And who better to tell you that you love yourself than you? But don't take it to the extreme. I love myself. I love everything about myself. Oh God, I'm so fine. I'm so fabulous. You notice I didn't say anything like that. All I said was I like you on week 1 and I love you week 2. That's all I said. This whole epiphany thing that I've had comes down to that. Love yourself first. And I've heard people say things like, loving yourself is wrong, this, that, and the third, and everything else, blah, 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 blah. No. Because that's not what I'm saying. The point of that exercise is to build confidence, respect, and love for yourself. And that's all it's supposed to do. It's the foundation that you can then build everything else on. That's it. Anything else that you may come of it, any other outcome, whether it's favorable or unfavorable, it's up to you. Because you can love yourself, but you don't have to be narcissistic about it. And that's the other side of the coin. I'm not saying you need to love yourself to the point that nothing else matters but you. Never said that. I think, and I've said, that you need to love yourself as a foundation to build upon yourself to become the best version of yourself you could possibly be. That's it. And with that, we're going to wrap it up. Again, as always, thank you for allowing me to present another point of view for your consumption. And remember, this podcast and others in the Jazzy Groove Rainy Day podcast family come to you via the power of 5. Like, comment, subscribe, notify, share. Each of those things is powerful in their own right. Combined, they're unstoppable. And before I go, I want to give a shout out, what I did before, but do it again, to the people over at the Fresh and Fit podcast. They are currently in the process of being demonetized. And as a fellow content creator, you don't want to see that. And as I said before, there are things they said I agree with. There are things that I disagree with. But all in all, I rock with them. Here's hoping that you get remonetized and you continue doing the things that you're doing because you're popular, because people need to hear it. They need what you're giving. So shout out to you guys and to everyone else. OBJ here, signing off. Peace out.